The Money in the Bank ladder matches are incredibly fun, and they are some of my favorite matches of the entire year. However, I also recognize that they are incredibly important at shaping and molding WWE storytelling for the next year, or maybe the next 5 years. And that's because the Money in the Bank briefcase is a fantastic plot device that could, in the snap of a finger, give us a brand new main event caliber feud, while also instantly giving us potentially a brand new WWE megastar that could main event WWE shows for the next year, for the next 5 years, or maybe even the next 15 years. And that's why the 2024 edition of the men's and the women's ladder matches is looking really special, because there are a handful of really good options across the men's and the women's side that look like they could be fantastic options to be your next Mr. and Miss Money in the Bank. So in today's video, we're going to look at every single participant currently announced for the Mr. and Miss Money in the Bank ladder matches, and I'm going to make a case for every single one of them as to why they should win the briefcase. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications if you're a wrestling fan. I'm confident you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And if you're looking for my Money in the Bank predictions, they're already uploaded on YouTube. Just click on my channel, you'll find it, it's right there. All right, let's jump into it. Let's start off by talking about the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. The current participants that are announced are Iyo Sky, Lyra, Valkyria, Tiffany, Stratton, Naomi, Zoe Stark, and Chelsea Green. Let's start off by talking about Zoe Stark and why she should win the briefcase. Zoe Stark is getting a tremendous amount of hate online for simply being in this match. There's a lot of people saying that she sticks out like a sore thumb, that she doesn't deserve to be here, that she didn't really earn her way into this match. But I think these people are just entirely wrong. Look, the WWE admittedly has not done a really good job of building Zoe Stark to feel like a true threat, to feel like a main event player in the WWE, especially not in the past 6 months. Because Zoe Stark has been more or less relegated to the lower mid-card and the women's tag team division, and it just hasn't really done her any favors. But the fact of the matter is that Zoe Stark is still young and she's about to hit her prime, and we know that she can be part of main event feuds if the WWE just gives her the opportunity to be part of them. A lot of people have this recency bias against Zoe Stark, saying that she's not a main event player at all, but don't forget that when she was called up from NXT, she was instantly inserted into a main event feud that involved the likes of Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch, and she even started a little micro feud with Trish Stratus herself that I wish got more of a payoff because it would have really helped elevate Zoe Stark as a whole. And she participated in multiple women's world title matches that included a singles feud against Rhea Ripley, the most dominant champion that we've seen in a really long time in the WWE. So clearly, at one point or another, the WWE had trust that Zoe Stark could develop into this top star for them. And for one reason or another, they decided to put the brakes on that. And that's where the Money in the Bank briefcase could help restart all of this. The reason why Zoe Stark should be your next Miss Money in the Bank is because this would help inject some adrenaline into the soul of her career and give her another proper chance at the main event. Yes, she did get a chance at the main event scene, but that was so early on in her main roster run. She is far more seasoned. She understands this game so much more in the year plus that she's been part of the main roster. If you give her another chance at the main event scene, you could potentially develop her into somebody that could be a mainstay of the main event. But as it stands, because the WWE has done such a poor job of booking her over the last 6 months, you can't just install her into the main event scene. You need a reason, you need an excuse, and the Money in the Bank briefcase is a perfect excuse to do it. Now let's talk about Naomi. Here's the thing about Naomi. She doesn't need the Money in the Bank briefcase. Unlike Zoe Stark, you could take Naomi right now and you could insert her into a main event feud for a world title and no one would bat an eye. That's because she is a proven commodity in the main event scene in both the WWE and TNA. Within the WWE, admittedly, she's never truly been treated like the top tier woman a la Charlotte or Rhea Ripley or a Becky Lynch. But you know what you're getting with Naomi. You know that you could get a main event player that could give you a really good match and a good storyline if you just put her in there. So she doesn't need the Money in the Bank briefcase because she doesn't need an excuse to be put into those main event scenes. However, it's not about that. To me, it's actually the fact that she came over from TNA that could make her a really valuable Miss Money in the Bank. Yes, she doesn't need the Money in the Bank briefcase to be inserted into main event feuds, but giving her the Money in the Bank briefcase speaks volumes to free agents that might be looking at the WWE as potentially their next home. Don't forget, Naomi and the WWE did not split amicably when she originally left the WWE over disputes about how the WWE and Vince McMahon was booking the women's tag team division. That led to Naomi going to TNA, making a big name for herself there, becoming a top player there, becoming a world champion, and then she was welcomed back to the WWE with open arms. Giving her the Money in the Bank briefcase would tell the world, hey, it doesn't matter if you left the WWE on difficult terms. It doesn't matter that you've been gone from the WWE from so long. It doesn't matter if maybe you're brand new to the WWE. If you want to come to the WWE, we are going to roll out the red carpet from you, and we're going to treat you as best as we possibly can. That's the message that giving the Money in the Bank briefcase to Naomi would send to the world. Now let's talk about Lyra Valkyria. There's a couple of reasons as to why you might want to give Lyra Valkyria the briefcase. The big one is that you desperately need some top tier baby faces in the main event scene right now on Monday Night Raw. It is drastically dry over there in terms of top baby faces in the women's division. I'm sure that when Rhea Ripley comes back, she'll by default be the top babyface, but right now, the land is barren, and we don't know when Rhea Ripley is going to come back. So giving the Money in the Bank briefcase to Lyra Valkyria would instantly elevate her to being one of the top babyfaces on Monday Night Raw. But she's also a new crop of talent that is there to replace the aging 4 horsewomen that are likely to be on their way out soon. So if you want to start creating some young main eventers, you might as well start now, and you might as well start with somebody like Lyra Valkyria. And the WWE clearly has trust in Lyra Valkyria already this early on in her main roster run. Don't forget that she was a Queen of the Ring finalist, so the WWE clearly is not afraid to already put her into high-profile situations in the WWE. Let's talk about Iyo Sky, the only woman on this match that has already won a Money in the Bank briefcase. And why should you give Iyo Sky the Money in the Bank briefcase again in back-to-back years? Because, well, she's already won it and has proven to be a good Miss Money in the Bank and is a proven commodity at the top of the card. So if the WWE is nervous about giving the briefcase to some of the younger talent because maybe they don't want to have another Austin Theory situation on their hands, then you could give the briefcase to somebody that's already established. Somebody that if she were to cash in, win or lose, wouldn't be damaged by the result. So Iyo Sky should be your winner if you don't really have a heck of a lot of trust on the other options, because many of the options on this list, frankly, can be a bit of a gamble for the WWE. Are you really ready to put the briefcase on somebody as young as Tiffany Stratton or Lyra Valkyria? I mean, I think that they're ready, but in case the WWE doesn't think that they are, they have an easy get out of jail free card by giving Iyo Sky back-to-back wins. This would also set history in the women's division by rewriting the record books and making Iyo Sky the first ever and only woman to win back-to-back Money in the Bank ladder matches a la CM Punk back in the Ruthless Aggression era. So giving the briefcase to Iyo Sky makes history in the women's division for the WWE and just gives you somebody that you know is a proven commodity holding that briefcase to make sure that that briefcase has main event caliber prestige. Now let's talk about one of the favorites to win this in Tiffany Stratton. There are a couple of reasons why you should give the briefcase to Tiffany Stratton. The first one is that she is absolutely phenomenal, and her character as it is today is perhaps the quintessential perfect Miss Money in the Bank. Not only does she provide that like snively heel that works really well with Money in the Bank holders, but she's also somebody that could back it up in the ring as well. She's not somebody that's always hiding and running around. She will meet you head on, and she will also happily use underhanded tactics to pick up a victory, and it doesn't really get more underhanded than the Money in the Bank briefcase. On top of that, similar to Lyra Valkyria, if you just want to cement the future of the women's division right now, give it to Tiffany Stratton. She is the perfect choice to be your flag bearer for the 20-something-year-olds in the WWE. And also similar to Lyra Valkyria, the WWE clearly is not afraid to put her into high-profile matches. She was already part of the Women's Elimination Chamber match, and she was part of the Backlash Triple Threat match. So overall, I just think that she's a really good option in terms of the entire package that she presents.
This is it. I remember seeing this.
Oh my God, no way.
The production of this is genuinely fantastic. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, dude, this match is great. That, folks, was a preview of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, which is available exclusively over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're looking at the very first ever Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21. We're looking at an indie classic between Walter and Will Ospreay. We'll also be looking at the debut of The Fiend Bray Wyatt against Finn Balor at SummerSlam 2019, and the criminally underrated Fatal 4-Way match at SummerSlam for the Universal title between Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe. You're going to be getting these watch-alongs and more, like the Raw review, SmackDown reviews, the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, all over on patreon.com/SantiZap. We unfortunately cannot show these on YouTube. It is impossible. The only place to get the watch-alongs is on Patreon. So come check it out. It'll be the top link in the description or the link that's in the pinned comment. I think that you're going to like it, even if you just try it out for 1 month. All right, back to the video. Now let's talk about Chelsea Green and why she should win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Here's the thing. Tiffany Stratton is a bona fide main eventer for the rest of her career. In that case, she doesn't need the money in the briefcase right now in order to capitalize on any sort of momentum that she has, because she's going to have momentum for the rest of her career. However, I am a believer that right now there's a window, and it's open right now, and it is a perfectly Chelsea Green size window to make her into a top main event player right now. If you aren't interested, then you don't pull the trigger, but that window closes. But if you actually care about making Chelsea Green into a main event player, it's now. She would also provide such a great character to the Money in the Bank as a whole. The last several Money in the Bank holders from the women's division have just been people that have won the briefcase, cashed in, and haven't really made being Miss Money in the Bank part of her character. However, when I look at Chelsea Green, and if she were to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, I could see her being a Carmella-like Miss Money in the Bank, where the Money in the Bank becomes part of the entire character that we have. Plus, the fact that she's sly, weaselly, and plays politics works really well with the whole moniker of being an ultimate opportunist. She's also somebody that could have multiple failed cash-in attempts time after time after time without ultimately hurting her character, because her character with like failed cash-ins just works. So if you want to capitalize on a potential Chelsea Green main event run, this is why you need to pull the trigger right now. Now let's look at the men's ladder match, which has LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Jey Uso, and Andrade. Let's start off by talking about Andrade and why he should be the next Mr. Money in the Bank. There are really two reasons as to why I think you should give the Money in the Bank briefcase to somebody like Andrade. The first one is that he kind of has nothing to do right now. He's one of those people in this match that doesn't really have any future feuds already lined up for him, and the Money in the Bank briefcase could be an instant feud right away whenever you wanted. Whenever you feel like Andrade needs to pull the trigger, he could have a feud right there ready-made for the main event scene. When I look at some of the other people like Drew McIntyre, he's got CM Punk. LA Knight, he's got Logan Paul. Jey Uso probably has the bloodline down the line. Andrade doesn't have any of that. So you would be helping Andrade's future outlook for the rest of the year by guaranteeing that we're going to eventually do something with Andrade. And that's something that WWE fans have been clamoring for. Just do something with this guy, and giving him the Money in the Bank briefcase at some point or another within the 12 months will make the WWE have to do something with this guy. And similar to Naomi, I think that he would be a great beacon of how the WWE could use people that are coming over from AEW or people who are interested in joining the WWE. Again, we're going to roll out the red carpet from you. Doesn't matter that you're coming from TNA or AEW, we're going to treat you right. Now let's talk about why Carmelo Hayes should win the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think similar to Chelsea Green, I think that Carmelo Hayes could make being Mr. Money in the Bank part of his character better than everyone else that's actually in this match. And part of the reason for that is that Carmelo is still a bit of a blank slate in the main roster. He doesn't really have a super identifiable identity that can't be changed or molded yet. All we know about him on the main roster is that he is him. We don't really have all of that awesome legacy that was built on NXT here on the main roster. So we have the ability to change something up about Carmelo Hayes, and the Money in the Bank briefcase could be that thing. Giving the Money in the Bank briefcase to Carmelo Hayes would also be a great vote of confidence for the crop of NXT that's looking up at potentially moving up to the main roster as well. Because it's been a while while since the WWE has taken an NXT graduate and really catapulted them to being a main eventer, to being a world champion material WWE superstar. And Carmelo Hayes could reignite that conversation that the class of NXT are your next future world champions. Now let's talk about LA Knight and why he should win the briefcase. Frankly, LA Knight should just win the briefcase to undo the wrong of last year when he should have won the goddamn thing. It should have been him. Look, I know that they executed things really, really well with Damian Priest. Still, I don't care. It should have been LA Knight. You could have still done everything that you did with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, the cash-in at WrestleMania, but the pop would have been just so much louder if it was LA Knight instead of Damian Priest. But hey, what's done is done, but rarely do you have an opportunity to undo your fuck-ups. This is one of those rare opportunities where they could fix their decision from last year. On top of that, I just think that the Money in the Bank briefcase works really well on WWE superstars that are talkers, and that's what LA Knight is. LA Knight is an over-the-top promo that has gotten himself over with his character work and his words as opposed to his in-ring work. And the Money in the Bank briefcase has just historically worked better on characters like that, so I just think it's a bit of a no-brainer here. Now let's talk about Chad Gable. Giving the briefcase to Chad Gable could do a couple of things. One, it could show your current employees in the WWE, the rest of the WWE locker room, that if you improve, if you continue to get better, if you continue to get yourself over with whatever character it is that we write you for, then you are going to be rewarded, because we have seen a renaissance with Chad Gable where he's finally been given more of a leeway to be a bigger character as opposed to just being an awesome mat technician. And ever since he's been given more of an opportunity, he's taken that opportunity and he has absolutely elevated himself to the highest point that he's ever been in his WWE career. Giving him the briefcase could show the rest of the WWE locker room that this is what happens when you see this level of improvement, that we will put a rocket on you and shoot you to the moon. But also, Chad Gable just re-signed with the WWE. This could be another great message to the locker room. Hey, good things are here to come if you stay with the WWE. If you re-sign with the WWE, look what can happen. Look what happened with Chad Gable. But also for fans themselves, like, Chad Gable has been such a treat to be on TV, and giving him the Money in the Bank briefcase would just elevate this fantastic, dastardly piece of shit tyrannical character that he's become. It would just work so well for him and be incredibly entertaining. And Chad Gable has always been that guy that WWE fans have wanted to get an opportunity to grab the brass ring, and the Money in the Bank briefcase could be that thing to keep fans on their seats waiting for Chad Gable to grab that said brass ring. Now let's talk about Drew McIntyre and why he should be your next Mr. Money in the Bank. You can pretty much just take everything that I said about Chad Gable and double it, maybe triple it, and say the same things about Drew McIntyre. Because just like Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre has completely transformed himself over the past 8 months to the point where he's completely unrecognizable from the version that he was in early 2023. And he is now, in my opinion, the best heel in all of professional wrestling. He is the best heel in professional wrestling. He is super, super popular right now. People want to see more Drew McIntyre, and the briefcase just adds to all of that. It helps compound it. You should put the briefcase on him because you should put the briefcase on the guy or girl that we want to see the most, and Drew McIntyre right now is that guy. Plus, it adds just so many questions of how will CM Punk get involved into this? Will it work? Will he get screwed over yet again? How does Gunther come into the picture? How does Damian Priest play into this? There are so many awesome questions that could be answered throughout an entire year if you give Drew McIntyre the briefcase. And lastly, let's talk about Jey Uso. You should give the briefcase to Jey Uso because he is the goddamn poster child of this entire event. In the poster, he's literally holding the briefcase. You've marketed the whole thing as him being the next Mr. Money in the Bank. But all jokes aside, although I don't know if that's so much of a joke, it's kind of true, it's time to pull the trigger on Jey Uso. The WWE has had fears or maybe malfunctioning triggers about finally pulling the trigger on Jey Uso. Think about the last year, how many times we've thought, hey, this is when Jey Uso finally wins the big one, and then they don't pull the trigger on him. Hey, this is where Jey Uso is going to be Roman Reigns and win Tribal Combat. Nope, doesn't do that. Hey, this is where Jey Uso is going to be Gunther and becoming the Intercontinental Champion. Psych, just kidding. We can't do that over and over again with Jey Uso, especially with how popular he is right now. He is the most popular babyface on Monday Night Raw at the moment. You gotta pull the trigger on him at some point or another, and right now is as good a time as ever. And additionally, this is a soft pulling of the trigger. Giving him the Money in the Bank briefcase isn't giving him the world title just yet. You can pull the trigger down the line when it makes more sense, but we can't continue this hamster wheel of, hey, now it makes sense for Jey Uso to win, only for him to lose time after time after time. It's time that Jey Uso wins something big, and the Money in the Bank briefcase is that next big thing for him. All right, folks, those are my opinions. You guys let me know what you feel I was completely off on, but that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.